welcome to another episode of Queen City Unleashed. I am Shea Luciana, and today I am joined by my friend and neighbor and business owner, Dani Simonetti, and she's the owner of Skin by Danielle Rose. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks. Happy to be here. Thanks for coming in.
This is the first neighbor I've had on.
What an honor.
So hopefully this goes well and I don't get a bad rep in the neighborhood. Dani, where are you from originally? So before Charlotte, unless you were, aren't you one of the few people who's from Charlotte?
No, so kind of. I am originally from New York.
Okay.
Moved down here basically like in my taught years. So this is what I know. Charlotte is very much like familiar to me.
Okay.
Grew up in North Charlotte, kind of like Highland Creek area if you're familiar.
Okay.
Kind of near Concord.
Played golf up there once.
Okay. Yeah, it was a good place to grow up in. It was the burbs.
So like high school there?
But then went to high school in Lake Norman. So we moved to Lake Norman. That's also a stomping ground of mine. I went to Huff High School.
Okay.
So this is very much what I know. QC.
So I think you might be I think we're going to call you a Charlotte native. Like I think you might be the first Charlotte
Well, I don't know if I like that, but we can.
No, it's okay. You guys are special. Like you're one of a kind. People went to high school and still live here. Like you've seen the city change from what it was then to what it is now.
That's true. South End used to be so different. Everything used to be so different. 20 years ago, but growing up in a really Italian New York family, I feel like I have the best of both worlds. Like not very Southern upbringing, but yet like grew up in Charlotte.
Sure. Okay. All right. So your family came here and then you stayed. Have you left since then?
I have.
Okay.
I moved up to Manhattan for a while.
Okay.
In my past life, but then COVID hit and I came back down to Charlotte. I never actually planned on coming back down here. We just, it just didn't make sense to be up there during COVID. We didn't know how long that was going to go on for.
Real expensive.
It got real expensive to just sit in your little studio apartment and not being able to do anything.
We're going to come back to that stint in New York and what you're doing there. So I know you like to be out and about. What are some things that you like to do for fun? Like, how do you like to enjoy your free time?
A lot of it has to do with being outside. We love the Whitewater Center here in Charlotte. We were literally there yesterday.
I was going to say you were there yesterday.
we frequent the Whitewater Center. We really enjoy like being in Noda Plaza.
Okay.
I like to go to yoga, a lot of different yoga studios around the area. But I'd say more outdoorsy things. We like to foster animals here.
Okay.
It takes up a lot of our time.
Tell me a little bit about this. So I've gotten to see this firsthand being in the neighborhood, and I'm like, hey, that is not the dog that I know you have one dog in the house, and who is this other dog? So tell me, when did this start, you fostering, and what has that experience been like for you?
So it kind of fell into our laps.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we've witnessed some animal neglect situations kind of like around the area, around Charlotte, and it sucked us into this. We had to intervene specifically with a situation right down the street from where we live, and we ended up getting involved with this rescue. It's called Forgotten Now Family, and it's for it rescues dogs and I think sometimes cats here in the Charlotte area. And so ever since then, we've just been working with them, and we've fostered animals and just kind of helped with the CMPD shelter too, because they're just unfortunately really overrun. So we have a lot of furry friends.
Big heart for the animals over here. Big heart for your skin, but also big heart for the animals.
I know.
Okay, so how does your dog though feel about these short-term roommates?
I feel like he gets excited at first because it's usually like we've had puppies, so it's like fun, and then after a week or so he's over it and he's like, stop bothering me. But it keeps him young. Like he's 4.5 years old, almost 5, so it's like it's nice to have a little buddy.
He needs somebody to like kind of kick his butt a little bit. Okay. What else? So you foster. What else do you like to do?
We foster, yoga. I feel like we're kind of like transitioning out of the nightlife scene. Like we were doing a lot of that before, and now we're just kind of trying to figure out things to do on the weekends that aren't necessarily like going out all the time, being out until 1 a.m. Like now that I'm in my 30s,
I don't have the energy for it anymore.
And you feel like shit. You feel kind of.
No, you're good. You're good.
You feel kind of like crap the rest of the weekend. Like we're like, what can we do that you still feel good, but you can socialize?
I'm good for one of those nights like every couple of months now, and like I feel like it changed very quickly for me that I just like to be out with music and dancing and just like everyone seems like they're having a good time, and I'm like, dude, I don't have the energy for it now. Like I find myself sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna sit at home, drink a glass of bourbon.
You're good at that. You love your bourbon collection.
Oh,
is
yes.
everything. Yes.
Oh yes. So that's what I found myself doing more of. But the other thing I think is transitioning out of nightlife into more like hosting things for like friends and family to come over and do stuff. So it's like we don't have to go out because every time you go out, it feels like couple $100 just leaves your wallet. So it's like I'd rather stay home. Everyone can bring a cocktail or bring a dish, or we can play games, and it's like we're still hanging out and getting the vibe of being around people, but we don't, when it's 10 o'clock or 11, if you want everyone to leave, it's like, hey guys, we got stuff to do tomorrow.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Right. If you guys want to go ahead and do that. Okay, so because you guys are around a lot, I know you guys like to eat.
Yeah.
Where are some of your favorite places to eat in Charlotte?
We have a couple. We frequent Haberdish a lot in Noda.
Okay, yes.
We love that place. Like, it's just a good blend of like Southern cooking, but still being modern at the same time. Chicken and waffles.
Everything. I think I did the chicken. Yeah, we did brunch there with some.
So good. You can get it. Like, I get it for dinner there.
Really?
They have it at dinner. Yeah. So that's always my go-to.
I am a breakfast any time kind of guy, so that actually might be something I need to go back into.
I think so. Okay. I think you need to try it.
Haberdish.
Kind of by us, Open Kitchen is just like a good homey Italian spot to go to.
Where is that?
It's right by kind of by like Jack Beagles. It's off like Moorhead. Okay. It's so close. Like we can go there. But it's really, I feel like it's just like a really good.
You're Italian, so is it authentic?
Yeah, I'm picky. Yeah, it's pretty authentic. Okay. Like, especially just being in the center of everything. It's not like new age Italian. It's like old school hole in the wall Italian. Okay. And I like that. Yeah. Personally.
I feel like they just do it right. There's something about the vibe, knowing that they're Italians really doing the cooking there. You just know that this is somebody's grandma's recipe.
Yeah, you get as much like unlimited bread.
Yeah, like you know, okay.
Some really carb up over there.
I like Italian food, so I missed that one, so I need to go over there.
Yeah.
Anything else? Where else do you like to eat?
We hit up Noble Smoke a lot just because it's like we like the smoked wings and everything like that. Flower Child's always a good option.
So Flower Child grew on me.
Did it?
Like I came when we first moved to Charlotte, we went to Flower Child, I think once. And I was kind of like, I don't know. And it was probably a year or so before I went back. Then I went back and I'm like, this was enjoyable. Let me try it again. And I kept going and I'm like, Flower Child is actually very good. I feel like it was, sometimes healthy restaurants don't always get the flavors of food right. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I had that in my head going into it, so I didn't give them a fair shot. And then I kept going back. I'm like, their food is actually very, very good and it's healthy. So I feel good about myself after I finish eating there. And I'm full and I don't feel gross. Like I can go do something afterwards, but their food is like, I really enjoy their food. I was there a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, yeah, I'll go.
And the ambiance is good too. Like sitting outside on the patio, I feel like they do a good job. And Calle Sol and Plaza I forgot about that one. That is like our all-time favorite place to go.
We went there during restaurant week, 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, they had a really good. We just don't get to Plaza as much because South End is so much closer, and Noda, and granted, the Plaza is.
I was gonna say it's 8 minutes away. You're not like where it is,
at all. But for some reason, we just don't. I guess we don't have friends that live over there, and there's nothing as part of our active life that we go do over there.
Yeah.
So we don't find ourselves on that side. But I will say in Plaza, milk bread.
That's a good spot. Donuts.
I will drive to Plaza for milk bread. Random Saturday morning, I'm like, hey, babe, go get a biscuit for milk bread. And she's like,
oh, that's such a good spot. We've just been exploring all through Plaza. So many. You guys need to get over there.
Yeah, everyone. I actually have some guys I play soccer with who live over there that like it. It's just we kind of stop at Elizabeth. We'll get all the way up to Elizabeth and then just not go into
turn around.
It's just not going to Plaza. So we need to do better at that. my next question normally is like favorite cocktail bars, but I feel like you guys are rooftop connoisseurs.
Are we? Oh, we've been going to one lately. What is it? Lincoln Street. Lincoln Street. It's right in South End. It's like I would call it a mini rooftop because it's just like a second story rooftop, but they have really good cocktails, really good food. So, and it's like a little more casual. It's not like bougie. We're not really like,
you don't have to get dressed up.
yeah, you don't have to put like a sports coat on or something to go there. Like it's a really good spot, and then you can bebop around South End. So we've been going there a lot.
I will say going back to South End now, we used to live in South End for 2 years, and leaving and then going back now, it feels completely different. Like when you don't have to park, like we would never move our car when we lived there, just get out and walk. Now when you have to park and you're figuring out like where you want to go, I feel like it has a different vibe that immediately now I don't feel like, I don't know, it doesn't feel as homey. And not like it feels bad. It's just like, I feel like a stranger sometimes because I'm like, what is this restaurant? Yeah, I'm like, what is this restaurant that just popped open, or who's this new gym? I'm like, this wasn't here 6 months ago. And I feel like South End changes so fast.
It does, yeah. I feel like they're trying to keep up. That's why, I mean, everyone's kind of moving there and they're building up so much, and it's just continuously evolving, which is good for businesses, but you still want, you know, some of the same, the familiarity to it at the same time.
Yep. It's how do you keep the culture while still evolving as a neighborhood? So that's what I describe our like South End and Plaza. I describe them as neighborhoods. They're too small to be towns.
Oh yeah. Wait, like, calling it a town? I'm going to South End town today. Like, the town of South End, the town of Plaza.
It's so small. Like it's just a large neighborhood. And they almost feel like college campuses sometimes. Like you cannot tell me walking through South End does not feel like you're on a campus.
That's somewhere. So true. I never even thought of that. Yeah.
Dorms for apartments, like parking garages. Like it feels like you're on a college campus.
Yes. That's very, very, what a good point. I've never even thought of that.
A lot of people graduate and just go to South End College.
It feels very familiar to them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you move there with a whole bunch of your friends. So like you're comfortable, like you got your same squad. So any other places you guys like to go for like a cocktail or wine?
We love Bohemian Wine Bar and Plaza, actually right behind Milk Bread. It's really good vibes, kind of like half indoor, half outdoor-ish. So they're awesome. We like Monday Night Brewery for beer. Like it's good. It feels like a good blend of like not being like a yuppie South End brewery, but while also embodying like brewery culture in Charlotte, but being like super queer friendly at the same time. Yeah, they're very like LGBTQ plus friendly. Awesome. So we like to go there and kind of support.
Their menu, I feel like I go in and I never order the same thing because one, I cannot remember because their menu is huge. But every time I go there, I'm like, can I try something? And I always find something I like. And it's cool that they have a little upstairs area.
Oh yeah, I haven't been up there yet.
I had some friends coming to town a couple of weeks ago. And we did like a whole weekend here, and we just like had the whole upstairs to ourselves, and we're just kind of like hanging out. And it's just like first come first
VIP.
Yeah. It felt like we bought a section, but we did not. But yeah, I like Monday night. My job did an event out there. We did like a Halloween event there too.
Oh, I love that.
We actually got some random other patrons to come judge the Halloween costume contest. I went as a highlighter. I take Halloween very seriously.
Oh my gosh. So, I need some inspo. We need some inspo this year for sure.
Last year we went as Jake. I was Jake from State Farm and my wife was Flo.
Oh my gosh.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
That's so cute.
We were out somewhere in South End that night, and some guy goes, he sees me and we have like a whole conversation. He's like, "Oh, Jake from State Farm." And then he sees her like 5 minutes later, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, you're Flo. I just saw Jake. You guys need to take a picture together." Like
we're actually married.
Like we're together. We came here together.
Came as a pair.
And no, I love getting dressed up for Halloween, and South End to me is the place to go for. You see all the most random costumes, and I feel like that's a lot of fun. Hidden gems. You've been here longer than most people. So you have to have, and maybe it's not hidden gems, maybe it's something that's just underrated.
Oh, okay. I can't help it. When I think of a hidden gem, I think like back to my like Norman days where there's this place called Saeed's. I don't know if you ever heard it.
No.
It's up by like Norman. And it started out as this little gas station bar that had karaoke. And it was like such a vibe and such a hole in the wall. But now it's like they've been able to like build out into a bigger karaoke bar and stuff. That's like Norman. But it's such a hidden gem and like always has good vibes there.
Okay.
And they have like
Is
outdoor
the gas station
games.
still there?
I think like they've kept like it's not full gas station anymore. Like I don't think it's a working gas station.
Oh, okay.
But it
More
used to
for the
be.
aesthetic.
It's more, yeah. I think like
Okay.
they're keeping like it's very vintage now.
Okay.
But I just love it. I feel like that place is close to my heart. Just for
Do
me.
you have? I struggle with this, and I don't have a go-to song. Do you have a go-to karaoke song?
Oh yeah.
What is it?
Pour Some Sugar by Def Leppard. Just a banger, just a crowd pleaser.
Yeah. See, that's the thing.
Can't
Like,
go wrong.
with karaoke, if you want to keep the vibes high, I feel like you have to sing something that people can sing along to.
Yeah.
Pulling a deep cut from your favorite music isn't going to work because people are going to be like, all right, unless you go out there and sing the heck out of the song, and then people are more impressed. But otherwise, like you pick some random artist that 15 people know and you're singing their song, it's kind of like waiting for the next person. Like,
Right?
who's
We're all
next?
just standing like that emoji. We're just like in the
Yeah.
crowd. That's so true.
I don't have in college. I would get a friend to do Justin Bieber's "Baby" because it just was a fun throwback.
Yes.
I don't have one.
Okay.
Like Altea and I talk about this all the time because sometimes we're in karaoke environments and we won't do it because we don't have a song that we
Shame.
feel like is our go-to like punch song. Like, yeah, this is the one that everyone
Yeah.
like enjoys singing. So I did sing. Do you remember "I'm the One"? DJ Khaled, Justin Bieber, Lil Wayne.
Oh yeah.
So
Good summer song.
right, great summer song. Well, in grad school, I put a friend group. All of us were gonna do the song. There's like 5 parts of that song. We all signed up to do the song. Our time came. I was the only one who walked in.
Oh no.
So I had to do all 5 parts. When I tell you gassed at the end of it, I was like, guys, you left me up there to hang. Like,
right.
I was like, there's a rap. There's like 3 different rap verses they're singing, and then DJ Khaled's echo in the background. I'm like, you left me out there to hang. And they're like, yeah, we just didn't have it in us anymore. I'm like, we could have canceled. Like, you waited till I got up there and just waved at
I
me.
love your commitment though. That says a lot about you. The fact that you're up there.
They called the group name, and I'm like, I really thought they were all behind me. And it's when I turned around, they were like, and I'm holding the mic now, and I can't just be like, actually, like,
No.
you know, kind of had to step up to
Right? Oh
step up
my
to the
gosh.
plate, but
But it takes a lot out of you to get up there, like just in general, physically. Like it gives me a lot of respect for Taylor Swift because to go back and forth on the stage, singing, entertaining, like what is it, Noda 101? We were there like recently. Noda, the karaoke bar in Noda 101.
See, again, we don't go looking.
Oh
for
my gosh,
karaoke
yeah,
because
that's
we
the
don't
place
have-
to go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's a good spot for karaoke. But I was like, I think I did like Dear Maria, Count Me In, if you guys know that
Yeah.
song. Yeah, but like it's kind of like a little niche, maybe not like very MySpace song-esque.
Yeah,
but I was like
our generation
winded.
gets it.
Yeah. We if you know. But I was like so winded after. I was like, and that was one song. So you got to really
Yeah.
carry it.
But especially like the people who like do full choreographies. Like Beyonce is walking down steps and jumping and hopping, and I'm like, ma'am, if I did that for one song, I would need a 15-minute timeout. And like, you do this for an hour and some change. I'm like,
Right.
yeah, I'm a lot of respect to the performers because I don't think they're athletes, but they're athletic to a certain degree.
First,
to be
I
able to
mean,
do
I
that.
feel like it should be considered an
a
athlete.
sport.
Yeah,
Like,
a sport because it really is.
A
Like
pro
imagine
singer?
what doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be like, they do full like cardio workouts to get themselves like ready to go on
For
tour.
sure.
And I'm like, yeah, that's dedication. Talking about the city as a whole, what is something you wish the city would be better at, or that you are excited for change to come in this area, or you hope change comes in this area? What is one of those things? Because I know we all love Charlotte, but it's not a perfect city and it's still growing. So what is one of those things you hope we all keep in mind as we evolve?
Ooh, okay. I would love, we touched on culture. I would love for Charlotte to kind of build its own culture continuously. I feel like we're such a new and young city that like sometimes when you go to other cities, whether it's like DC or I don't even know, like Austin or something like that, you feel the culture there, and I feel like we're still kind of working on that. One thing I am excited about, I know earlier before the podcast we were talking about like RSVP, Scorpio starting, like I'd love to see more queer friendly places and just kind of having spaces not specifically because everyone's welcome, but like seeing new places pop up that are for celebrating the LGBTQ plus community, I think is really important. So I think we're getting there. Like I feel like we're kind of evolving into like creating your own culture and art, but it's hard because I don't know what to sometimes suggest specifically, but like having a little bit more than just like the brewery culture, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think consistently almost every interview that I've had so far.
Does everyone say that?
Well, no, and I think that just shows how true it is. Like we're really trying to figure ourselves out as a city. And so, like what do we want to be known for? My last question kind of tying into this is like, if someone's visiting Charlotte for 24 hours, like what is one of our shining stars or something that you're like, hey, you have to do or experience X in Charlotte?
I do think the Whitewater Center is really cool because I feel like you can't go to every city and get that. So I usually suggest that. I would say like the museums are pretty cool. Like the Mint Museum, in Uptown.
Hot take, I'm not a museum guy.
Really? Okay. There's just something that you just feel like walking through, like get a little buzz, go through the museum. You feel very sophisticated. Why would you not? Why would you not? Have two drinks.
Is this a normal thing?
Yes.
I've never done this.
You really just take in the art, like you interpret it really well. You just start seeing all the things, like, it's just, I feel like that's a good one.
A museum with a buzz.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. How could you not?
Because no one's ever.
You're in the field trips, we didn't do that. Yeah. Now you can.
Wow. Okay. That is that's a new one. Like, hey, here's this random war from like 1812.
Yeah, right.
Interesting.
Damn, yeah. Yeah, literally.
Okay. But Whitewater Center is one that I think a lot of people enjoy. I've actually been getting some shout outs recently with the Olympics going on.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a woman who won, I think, bronze for kayaking.
Oh,
and she trains at the Whitewater Center. So I feel like that was a really cool nod to Charlotte.
Wow.
We don't get out there as much. It's not that far, but it just feels like far. And it also feels like a commitment for the day. Like if you're going, like you're going to be out there for a while.
That's true. I feel like also Music Factory area, I guess like Avid Exchange Amphitheater now. I've lived here for so long that like it's changed.
I still call it Music Factory.
Yeah, I'm standing on Music Factory, but I feel like that's like such a good place to go if they have a good concert there and you happen to be in town, because you get the skyline, you're right in the middle of Uptown, you can like bebop to some of the spots around it. And
even lawn seats for some of those concerts. I haven't said this on record, but I'll go ahead because it's a funny story. I bought tickets to surprise Altea for a concert.
Yeah.
For an artist that I thought that she liked.
Was it T-Pain?
No, it was not T-Pain. We went to T-Pain. We bought seats. We're not doing lawn seats.
We're doing a lawn for T-Pain.
No, absolutely. We had good seats for that one. But this artist came up in the middle of a conversation with other artists, and I knew she liked two of them, and the third one I thought she also liked, and I bought the tickets as a surprise. And so as we're getting closer, I'm trying to like, hey, are you still listening? Has he put out any new music? And she was like, I don't listen to his music. And I was like, oh.
Well, you're about to.
And she was like, what happened? I'm like, I bought tickets for us. I was like, but they're lawn seats. She was like, I'm sure it'll be a good time.
Oh, we love a good sport. Yeah.
We went.
It was bad?
It was less than ideal. It was less than ideal.
Who was it? Or you can't name.
I don't know what to say.
Okay.
But let's just say it's an artist that the Gen Alpha love. And this was one of the first.
Wait, which Gen Alpha is that bad?
No, that Gen Alpha is like.
Is Gen Alpha kids?
They're high schoolers.
Oh, okay,
now.
okay.
Yeah, and this was like one of the first times I really felt like an old man, because I was like, his openers were like 18, 19 years old, and I'm like.
Which you can rock it. Some 18-year-olds can rock.
Yeah,
for sure.
These ones.
But these no.
There were some parents in front of us that turned around and looked and said, "This is awful. Like, how does this qualify as music?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Oh, no.
But even with that, even the music not being great, sitting on the lawn just hanging out, like he's again sunsetting, skyline. Like we still made a good vibe out of it. But
with some bad background music.
Bad background music. Okay, so we are here in your space, which I think is super cool. How did you get to this? Like, start with your background. Tell me more about your background and your corporate job, because I know you're a big fan or encourager of
I'm a
people
big fan of quitting your jobs.
Yeah, so tell me, what did you do before in New York for your career?
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like, I went to college, went to University of South Carolina, got my undergrad degree in business, and I kind of was like just doing what I was supposed to do, basically. I graduated, I got into banking, I worked here in banking in Charlotte, then I got a job in consulting and wealth and asset management up in New York, and I was doing that for a while. And I was really unhappy. I was anxious all the time, like having panic attacks in conference rooms, just could not function. I knew that this isn't the life I wanted to live, but I didn't quite know how to break out of it.
Yeah.
I felt like I was just like crawling out of my skin. And the thought of doing that for 40 more years or whatever was going to be really mind numbing.
Yeah.
So the pandemic hit, and it was kind of like, obviously, unfortunately, COVID wasn't a great thing, but like it was my opportunity to really pivot in my life.
A lot of people took that opportunity.
Yes. And so I really pivoted. I quit my job. I enrolled in esthetician school at Aveda right here on South Boulevard. I then was able to start at a med spa a couple months later, and I have not looked back since. I opened my business about a year and a half ago. And I'm such a big advocate for, if you're unhappy, if there's something that like has always been in the back of your mind that you've been wanting to do, just do it. Like life is so short, and unfortunately our careers take up the majority of our waking hours. So for it to be something that is so like this soul sucking is just anything less than like, obviously it's not going to be enjoyable 100% of the time, but like if you can feel that it's not aligned with you, I am such an advocate for just do what needs to be done. Take the risk, take the leap. Like you will figure it out.
Yeah.
Do the hard thing. So yeah, and here I am.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Good for you. I think that speaks to so much in our culture of kind of how our generation was brought up. Like there was this whole, you go to college, get a job, and like the whole start the family and everything. And I think that's what our parents' generation did. And it was that was the American dream. Go to college, find your person, get married, white picket fence, kids, do that for 40 years, and then you retire. And I think, one, our generation is fighting back against that, one, because cost of living to do anything is so high. And so the idea of like, okay, you graduate college, but now you have mountains of debt, or you can't buy the white picket fence house because it costs you $1.2 million to get. And so it's like, all right, if we're not able to achieve those goals, why not just live for the moment or the time we have now? I do think there is a fine balance between being reckless and living for now versus also doing something that plan. And I think the way you talk about it's like doing it the right way of like taking advantage of something that's like in your heart or that you really want to do. And honestly, maybe sometimes that means we bounce around from job to job in our generation. We don't stay somewhere for 30, 40 years like our parents did.
That's the thing. Like, so, I feel like their definition of success was like retiring 50 years at the same company, but what do you call it? Like going through the corporate ladder.
Yep.
And that is not our generation, whatever, if it's like younger millennials, Gen Z, like that's not what we want.
Yep.
Success to us is autonomy, being able to like have a work-life balance, continuing to like enjoy life and our career at the same time.
And afford to enjoy life.
Yeah, and afford that too. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I just feel like I was very much, in the box of what I was supposed to be doing before.
Yeah.
And by like having my 401k, not the 401ks are bad, but like in my insurance and everything in my little salary, and that just bled into the other parts of my life where I was just kind of, we don't have to get into all of it, but like I didn't even realize I was queer until I broke out of that corporate environment, was in esthetician school, I feel like my mind just like completely opened because I had to get out of the norm of the everyday white picket fence ideology and had to like get out of there for me to be like, oh, like, who really am I? Because I've been told who I am and I've just been believing it for this long. And now I'm like actually discovering who I am.
Drill into that a little more. I don't care. Like, I like, if you want to, like we want people to be honest about it. So like, again, I'm sure there are other people, like, I will not say mine was that, but I think some of it is also growing. Like, I feel like for generations and generations, our parents did things the way their parents did, the way their parents did. And there wasn't much of, there was rebellion against the systems and the man, but sometimes not in the upbringings or the ways that like our family did things, whether it was religion or culture. Like, you didn't break out too much from what the norms, which sometimes lend themselves to stereotypes, but you didn't break out from that too much. Even for myself, there are things that, like, as I've gotten older and I'm like figuring things out for myself, that like, even going back to my parents, like, hey, like, why did we do X, Y, and Z? Or like, how did you guys come to that decision? And even them like starting to like, okay, yeah, maybe we didn't do this right, or this is why we did that. And I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. But I think our generation is so much more willing to kind of ask those questions and drill into that. But I think that's going to lend itself to our generation also being more, I don't want to say fulfilled, but a whole in ourselves, because we're actually willing to ask the questions. So if our time comes, we know that we did the work to understand who we were. Like, I feel like so many people in our parents' generations, like they wait to their old age to start discovering the fun little things that they care about. And it's like, no, you didn't have to wait till then. Like, you could have done this your entire life, but that's just not how our country has been. So for you, what did that look like, or that self-discovery look like?
I mean, I think you're right. I feel like past generations, they were kind of in survival mode. Unfortunately, they didn't have the opportunity that we have today with social media and just technology that allows us to find groups of people that are similar to us. You kind of were just stuck with what you were given sometimes. But for me, it really took, I feel like I had always learned that there was just one track for me. The track was that I go to school, I go to college, I marry a man, I have children, and that is what it is. And you do that, and then you retire, and you retire at 70, and then you live your life like that, and that's what it was.
70
no, I know, same.
Oh
now we're
gosh.
like, no. But like that was what was kind of like, oh, okay. But then as I start the year, like I graduated college, the year started like creeping towards that. I was like, wait, like I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like that's not what I want. I always knew I was like, there was something a little off. I wasn't quite sure. And it turns out it was my career. It was my, personal life, my sexuality, all of that. And once I started like really listening to myself, it was a little scary. I think my parents definitely thought I was going through a quarter life crisis when I quit my job and I started dating women. But now
probably a lot to take.
Yeah, they were like, "Are you sure you're good?"
Not just one at a time.
My mom especially, she was like, "Oh," but now she loves my fiance. She loves Bree, and they're
shout out to Bree, super dope.
Yeah,
she's awesome.
Yeah,
Bree's got more fashion sense than I will ever have in my life, and I constantly am showing all day. I'm like, look at this fit she put together. I'm like, I wish I could. So,
I love it.
I'm always envious of her fit.
Me too.
But I think one, happy for you. I think it's important, not just for you, but anyone, to give themselves the space to figure out who they are, and sometimes that's evolving. Like, it's not always going to be the same now as it will be when you're 35 as when you are at 40. But I think our generation being willing to try to understand who we are and like what we're going through, I think is important. This whole podcast is kind of my go for it thing. Like, it's not something like that's nowhere in the playbook of like, all right, go to college, get a job, get married, start a podcast. Like that's not part of the playbook. And so I feel like I am for people figuring out how to take those risks smartly. I think that is something that I say a lot of times, like, go for it, but do it in a smart way. Like, make sure you're setting yourself up for success and not in a place where you have to move back home because you weren't financially responsible with I'm just going to live for the now. Like, there's a way to live for the now, but also like set yourself up for the future.
Where I'm like, just do it. Just live for the now.
No, but
we
like,
balance each other. Yeah.
But like you have a career in this, so it's not you didn't live for the now. You're taking trips every other weekend, and then you have no money. Like I am not saying you. That is, there are people who are like still have the YOLO mindset. I'm like, YOLO means you might also be broke.
YOLO
like,
to a degree.
To a degree. But yeah, and someone else, the first person we had on our podcast, Katie, from the Coterie, we were having a conversation recently, and she was just talking about like how important that was for her to like find something that she's passionate about and leaving a corporate job as well. And I think it's great for us. But the second thing is, I think it's also pushing these big corporations to think differently about how they treat us as employees. It's like these people don't want to be working 60, 70 hours a week with the same benefits from 30 years ago. Like we need to be doing stuff to cater to them. Otherwise, we're going to lose our whole workforce, and they're all going to go do things that make them happy. And who's going to prop up our big companies? So I think it's, I'm proud of our generation for that, of like finding ways to kind of change the narrative of what a career and what grown-up adult life looks like. We don't have kids yet. Like we want kids, but like our parents' generation, if you didn't have kids within 2 years of getting married, it's like, hey, what's the problem?
Well,
are you?
Well, and that's the thing I've realized in society, it's always the next life step that people are going to ask you about. Like, you know, with Brianna, like, when are you getting engaged? Oh, never get. When are you getting married? Then you get married. When are you having kids? Oh, when are you having the second kid? Oh, when are those kids getting married? Like, they're always going to ask you, and there's always going to be this kind of like pressure.
Yeah.
And so you have to, I mean, like, and I get it. Sometimes it's just like conversational, but you have to really like have your voice be louder than everyone else's, or else you're going to fall into the trap of just making everyone else happy but yourself.
And that comes from learning who you are. If you don't know who you are, I don't think you get to that point where you're able to make sure that voice is louder than the ones you're getting from outside, outside people. Like, and so doing the work to understand, and whether that's therapy or yoga or whatever your means is to like learn yourself, I think it is so important to make sure that you do that work, because it allows you to live, I think, a more authentic life, which is what I hope for everyone.
For everyone.
Yeah. So starting a business, quitting a job, going into a new field, and then starting a business.
Yes.
That has a lot to do in like 2-3 years. What was that business like? What made you say, I want to do this for myself? And then what was that process? Like, I'm sure that's nerve-wracking. What goes into all that?
A lot.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Especially being a one-man show. But it was something I knew, it was a dream of mine to do. And once I finally felt like life had to make me a little uncomfortable to get there. Yeah. I'm a big believer in that, like, the universe or whatever higher power you believe in will make you a little uncomfortable to give you that kick in the butt to maybe pursue what's next and waiting for you. And so I had to get a little uncomfortable. I had some things happen. I tried to go into business with a friend. It went really poorly, and it pushed me to then, I was like,
will make you on my own.
Like, a little uncomfortable.
I have the drive
To give you that kick in.
And I think this will be really liberating to do. It's liberating in a way, but also a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
Get a little uncomfortable. I
kind of
some things.
It's like you put one foot in front of the other,
business with a
and
friend,
you
went.
Create a website, you open a business bank account,
Pushed me to.
You just start taking the steps, and then it's like we underestimate.
To give you that kick
in a day, and we underestimate what we can do in a year. And that
it's liberating in a way, but also a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
So
we overestimate what we can do in a day.
Yeah.
You
create a website,
but we underestimate what we can do in a year.
Oof.
And so when you finally, you just every day you have at least overestimate what we can do in a day, and we underestimate what we can do. You look back a couple months later, and you're like, wow, I have a business, and I have clients, and we're making money here.
Yeah.
And
Say that again.
And it's just to have the creative freedom. I always felt like, but we underestimate what we can do in a year. It's very like, and so when you finally, you have to be, you have to be beautiful.
Every day you have at least
on your
one
body. You have to have smooth skin, and I think I just try to with my business
a couple months later, and you're like,
way of like, we're healthy. I want to be an approachable business for people. I want people to feel like this is a safe and comfortable space for them.
Yeah.
Well, also,
I think sometimes the med spa industry, it's very like
we're perfect all the
that's awesome.
time.
That quote's gonna be sitting
You
with
have to
me
be beautiful. You
for,
can't have any fat on your body.
for
You have to
a
have smooth
minute. But yeah, I
with
think
my
it's
business
great
approach
that
it.
you took that risk, and I think even seeing it for myself with this podcast is like
business for
podcasts
people. I
years
want people
ago, I think were
in comfortable space
there
for
wasn't
them,
a lot of
but
information out
also
there, so it's like
help.
people just did it. And Man, now the that's quality awesome. of podcasts is that quote's gonna be sitting with me. Starting, I'm like, I don't want us to start the podcast like the way it looked before. I'm like, no, the video needs to be good. Like the content. Even seeing it for myself, like, with this podcast is like not even interviews, more just conversations, like thinking through all of that. But it's like, all right, have the first one, second one. All right, now you're putting pictures. You have the Instagram, now we have the TikTok. Like it's just all the little steps, and before you know it, it's like someone's asking me, how's it going? And I'm like, podcast good. Like
Good, right?
It's before.
We're doing it.
Yeah, we've got a whole bunch of people lined up, and it's like that. Not knowing what you're capable of, like not even interviews, more just conversations. Like, I mean, the whole get thrown into the deep end of the pool. Like you'll probably figure it out for the most part how to swim, and so it's like
That's true.
doing that. And I think that takes a lot of guts to do and really follow. And I think it takes even more guts when you're staking your livelihood on it, like you are. Like for me, this is not podcasting is not my full-time job, but you took that step and said, I believe in this enough that I know I'm going to be able to support myself with that. I think that's just. That takes a lot of guts. So kudos doing that for that.
Thank you.
So to do and really follow. What services do you provide here? I know, like you are. Like for me, this is not podcasting is not my full-time job. So broad. What services what is enough that I know I'm like, or what can people come to you from? That's just.
I really specialize in acne and corrective skincare. Okay. So anyone that struggles with hormonal acne, essentially any kind of acne, but also anyone that's concerned with aging, pigmentation,
there's
melasma.
So many different things.
I think of myself I think there's a really good place for spas and kind of like day spas and everything. I kind of try to differentiate myself from that, where it's like these are treatments, we have goals, we have a treatment plan of like where we want to get with your skin, and I try to marry the two ideas of like it's still is relaxing somewhat. It's definitely not like massage the whole time. We're doing chemical peels, we're doing microneedling, we're doing more aggressive. You're numbed for it, don't worry. But it's definitely more aggressive treatments.
Yeah, but a little more holistic too. It sounds like it's not just the Band-Aid fix of like, hey, I want a spa treatment or a facial, but it's just like, hey, no, we're gonna get your skin right for the future, the long haul.
Exactly. Yes, and it's about your skin health in general. And having a good regimen at home. It's like you said, holistic. We want it, but all angles. So that's
more holistic too.
It's clients who are coming in
like, hey,
diligently and really invested in the process, where we're able to get to the place that they need to be.
Yeah, is a lot of your
about your skin health
been from word of mouth, just other like clients having great experiences and
at holistic. We want to approach it.
What has been your biggest asset in terms of you growing?
I feel like a lot of it's been invested in the process. I think when you open a business and you have
your skin right
clients that care about you, they want to support you. And so they're even better about referring people to you because they want to see your business thrive. And those are people that truly care about you. So I've definitely seen a lot of it as referrals and word of mouth and friends referring friends. But I would say Instagram has definitely also been really beneficial. I think because a lot of people can see what I do.
Yeah.
They can see friends that care about you, the transformations, and that also really has drawn people in. So even better about Instagram and referrals. That is like my number 1 and 2.
The Instagram is also very fun. Like the content is just, I don't know if I want to say silly, but like it feels like it breaks it down from something that can be so serious and health.
Because a lot of people can.
But like. You guys
can
break
see
it down
what
and it's
I offer.
Fun. Like so I see your videos come up, I'm like, that's a fun video there. It's like if I was looking for a place to go, like that would entice me. It's like, okay, she seems like she's having a good time and really enjoying what she does, even if she's making content about it this way. So it seems like it's a fun thing.
Thank you. We definitely have fun with it.
Centered.
If you're not having fun with it, then what's the point?
Yeah.
1. But 2, I think sometimes, like I said, this industry can be a little intimidating. I'm definitely not a big grand spa that you're going to walk into and be like, wow.
Okay, she seems like she's having
the most aesthetic thing. But I do want to be a place that's like comfortable and like I love having relationships with my clients, like friendships with my clients. Like I definitely become friends with a lot of people, and it's just it's approachable
real.
And you see results and it's real. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think again that authenticity that comes out.
Okay, she seems like she's having
But I do want
I think that's
to be
a big piece
a place that
I would tell you that you'll be able to find hanging out with
like
with Dani.
I love
Talking about skin, there's this whole idea that guys don't take care of their skin.
it's
It's how genetically my family has pretty good skin, but
flex.
Genetically, shout out to mom and dad. Shout out to mom and dad. But there are a lot of people who don't have the good genes for it or don't know the best way. And that's not just guys, but women also. About skin, what are a few simple, inexpensive things that you think people could do to take better care of their skin? Like before, even if it's not them coming in here, but like what are just basics that your average person should know about how they can take care of their skin better?
Yeah, I would say don't fall for
don't know the best way.
But don't fall for like a lot of the celebrity lines. I see like some men coming in or like teenagers that kind of like go to like some of the celeb lines or like what they see on social media on TikTok and stuff. I'm not saying TikTok can't be useful, but there's so much information out there. It's really hard to like know what is right for your skin. I would say cleanse every day. Start with a cleanser. There's Target, CVS, Walgreens. They have some really good brands. Like La Roche-Posay, CeraVe, that are just look at that.
Yeah,
see,
that's what
that
I
are
use.
just clean TikTok and
stuff.
They're not gonna be like fancy schmancy, but it's gonna get the job done. Have a good cleanser. If you are in your late 20s or up, I would start recommending using a retinol at night, just like a gentle retinol.
Could you
Same
explain
from the
what that
drugstore.
is a little more?
It's a derivative of vitamin A. Like La Roche-Posay, basically accelerates your skin cell turnover. So that is what's going to slow the aging process. So we lose collagen in our skin every year starting at age 25. So the way to continue, great. We have that to look forward to. So with every year, you're kind of decreasing collagen. The best way at home to continue keeping your skin barrier nice and strong and healthy. Obviously, it's going to slow as you get older, which creates laxity. Getting on a retinol at night, and then moisturizing, making sure you're moisturizing, and sunscreen. You're going to want to be wearing sunscreen is the number one anti-aging and skin health product, and it's the least sexy. Like it's like sunscreen, but honestly, that's the best.
I've been hearing a lot more about sunscreen as an everyday use and not as every once in a while.
Situational, yeah. It's not just a summer thing.
Yeah. I don't use sunscreen. I've been told I need to.
You don't use sunscreen at all?
No.
What in the world?
I think, and this is not informed, this is not from a doctor, this is just Shea Luciana's opinion.
Okay.
My family's from Nigeria.
Yes.
Nigerians don't use sunscreen. Nigerians can also look like they have never aged a day in their life. My mother looks the same now as when she did 20 years ago, which is like,
for her.
It's great. Again, the genetics. Shout out to mom and dad. So I think and this is where I need to do better about doing my own research for it and like understanding if that will affect me differently. But literally for generations, like African people aren't using and it's hot where they are. The sun is harsher there, and like my grandmother does not look as old as she actually is now. And so I'm curious, and I don't have anything and it's not your job to know this, but I'm curious how much that
plays a part
for it. And like,
I mean, melanoma doesn't discriminate though, to be fair.
That is also very true. That is what all my friends say. That's what they come back and get me.
But that could be certain skin types are definitely more resilient to the sun, and there's no doubt about it. But so when you go on the boat, when you guys go on like your boat days, nothing, just raw dogging it. Wow.
Raw dogging it with the sun.
The sun.
Yes. I will say I think my sister does a better job of that. And her skin is also almost flawless with like sunscreen when she's out in the sun.
Good for her.
But I think my brother and I we're more so just out
so
here.
So manly.
No, it's not even a manly thing. It's just like we're just kind of out here. Like our mom, I don't think wears it. Our dad doesn't. So like we're just kind of out here.
That's fair. Okay.
She's a professional. I'm not. Don't take my.
don't do this at home.
Yeah. Don't take my take as like what is true and what you should be doing. I'm curious how much when you talk about, especially like acne, how much just simple hydration and like your diet plays a role in that, because I know that like there are certain things growing up that my mom like would explain that she couldn't eat in excess because it would break her skin out. And so I'm sure a lot of people have things like that. But how much does even just getting your skin to a healthier place, does just water consumption or the food you're eating affect that, or do you see that plays a role in it?
Water consumption, it helps for sure. I think when you have lower water consumption, it's not going to like make or break your skin, but it definitely will help. If you're struggling with acne, gluten and dairy are the number one things that you need to start reducing in your diet,
Really?
because those are very inflammatory, especially in the U.S.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I have heard that.
I mean, if we were on a farm out in, the middle of nowhere, France, where they don't pump everything with steroids and pesticides and stuff, that may not be the case. But unfortunately, in the U.S., there's a lot of bleach, there's a lot of hormones, so that will throw things off for your skin.
Yeah.
So I would suggest limiting those. But what was other? I think those are the main things.
And I was saying your diet and water.
Diet,
So you hit them
and
both.
hydration. I think the in terms of what you put into your body helps. I do warn acne clients, if you're taking any kind of like biotin supplements, that can create more oil production in your skin. So be careful with those, because some people think like, oh, hair, skin, and nails, biotin, but in actuality, sometimes it could be making your acne more severe. So check your vitamins. But overall, I would say try to limit, alcohol, stuff like that. Anything inflammatory if you feel like you're struggling with your skin.
Okay. That is helpful to know. I think for Altea and I recently, we started paying a little more attention to the food that we're eating, and not just from a skin standpoint, but just from an overall health. And I understand that there's we are blessed with some privilege there to be able to say, hey, we're going to eat a lot healthier. And I understand I studied food and exercise science in undergrad, and our country is just so backwards when it comes to how we're going to price the healthier foods. Like, oh, you want organic? That's going to be triple the cost of what it would be for regular, but that's the food that you actually need, or that's going to help your body. And so we're definitely privileged to be able to afford to do that. But I think it definitely helps in, one, just kind of feeling, I use the word lighter, but like the food isn't like weighing you down as much. Like, this is fresh. Like, we started getting like vegetables from a farm in South Carolina, and it's like we get them every week, and it's these fresh organic vegetables, and it's just like the meals just taste fresher and lighter. And sadly, like, you're right, you go to Europe and that's not like, they don't have all the processed stuff that we do here. But our health, and being in healthcare, understanding how much your health is, like the food you put into your body, is one of the number one things that can dictate what happens to the health of your body over a lifetime. So it is consistent to hear that even your face and your skin is going to be affected by what you put into your body. So be kind to your body. Please be kind to your body.
Does a lot for you.
Yeah, it does. Our bodies are for us to hopefully here to last us a long time. So you got to take care of your car, take care of your house, take care of your body. If you take care of those other things, like if you're getting an oil change and you're like getting maintenance on the house, why would you not like fuel your body with the right stuff,
Facts for sure.
And you started to hit on this some earlier, but what have you learned about yourself being a business owner and making such a big pivot to what you're doing? And how has, I'll throw you both questions, how has being in a city like Charlotte been helpful? Has that been an asset, or has that been somewhat of a barrier for you kind of making this pivot and like navigating this small business?
Yeah, I think so. I've just always been a perpetual people pleaser. So having your own business, you're just bound to have to say no sometimes. And it gives you strength. You have to find strength to be able to stand up for yourself, which was something that I was not very capable of doing. Like, I would just shut down in situations like that. So this has kind of helped me find my inner voice. Just always been of like my worth, and not like my worth is my business, but like I'm capable of these things. Like I am deserving of good things, and it just reinforces that. It reminds you that you can't do everything, and that you have to like find priorities.
You can't make everyone happy either.
Yeah, exactly. There's things you're gonna have to say no to. There's people you're gonna have to say no to, or set strong boundaries. I've had to fire clients before. Like,
you can fire a client?
Well, soft fire, where you're like, hey, I don't think this is working necessarily.
Sure.
So things that I've never had to really be put in those positions. But by doing that, I find strength and growth in that. In terms of being in Charlotte, I think there's pros and cons, because it really helps to be in a city that I'm from, because I've already networked in this city. So starting out in a business in a city that you don't know anyone would be super intimidating and be like really, scary.
It could be daunting.
Yeah, and like just to kind of like, you're really starting at ground zero there. Where here I felt like I had somewhat of a support system with friends and family who were referring people or supporting me in a city that I'm from. So that meant everything to me. But then at the same time, it's like, you know, a lot of people in this city, and sometimes starting a business, you're a little vulnerable and you feel like, oh, do I look silly, like posting these silly reels on Instagram, or like, what are people going to think I'm being, I don't know, like cringe or something stupid like that, which like cringe, you know, I feel like you kind of have to be a little cringe to put yourself out there. So it's a double-edged sword with being from here, but you learn to roll with it, and ultimately I'm thankful to be in a city that I've created a network.
Yeah, and a community with. Yeah, that whole posting and the cringe thing, that was a tough pill to swallow. Like, if I'm doing this, like, you got to start with an Instagram account from zero, and like have to try to build a business. And I had to remind myself, it's like all the, whether it's big celebrities with podcasts or your D-list celebrities or people that are like a little more accessible, all of them started with posting like random videos to start with. I'll tell you, I like to talk about Tabitha Brown. I don't know if you know Tabitha Brown. She's vegan, just the most joyful, positive vibe. And she started just talking about like her food and hair journey in her car. Multi-millionaire now, and she just started with like basic videos in her car, and I'm like, you know, everyone's got to start somewhere. And I think what I'm starting to see is that people who make it, oftentimes it's not because they were better, but it was the resilience to keep pushing through, even through the not glamorous pieces of it. It's like, oh, like some of these podcasts, that there's a podcast that I've car, and I'm like, you know, and I didn't realize they had 400 episodes. Like, I didn't know them.
That's a huge
like, I didn't know them at 10, 50, even 200. And I'm like, wait, you guys have been doing this for how many years? And it's like, it's not, some people get to pop early, but it's the consistent grind of like you said earlier, putting one foot in front of the other that's going to get there, and having to remind yourself of that. Then I'm like, you know what, I can't, like, people are like, oh, what are you trying to grow to? I'm like, I don't know. I was like, I've given myself a timeline of how long I want to do this consistently. And it's like, and you hope that in your consistency, there is reward that you're looking for. There is the growth and success you're looking for. But chasing a number or a certain success is just like, it's not going to work, because you get caught up in that instead of the grind and the beauty of what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, for sure. I feel like, do you know Chapel Roan?
Yes.
I feel like she's a good example of that, like, because she has been creating music for a long time and just now is popping off. I mean, I've known who she was.
Yes, yeah.
But I feel like that's just a good example. Like, just keep creating, keep putting your stuff out there. Whether you have 2 people watching it, whether you have a million people watching it, like, if you just keep creating and not giving up, I feel like that. Because if you're not, then there's absolutely no chance that's going to happen for you, or you're going to reach the goal that you want to reach. So I feel like, I mean, I've posted things and had, like, I probably got like 10 likes, and that's okay. Like, but just keep doing it, because it's not realistic to think that you're gonna, you know, start out in the first, you know, month and all of a sudden like make
unless
it big.
you're a celebrity, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, you mentioned that artist Toby Nwigwe is a Nigerian guy from Houston that I discovered in like 2018, and he'd been around a couple years before that. But his whole thing was, he's like, he put out a song every Sunday, like every single Sunday, a new song, choreography, outfits from scratch. Like, they're buying material, and he and his wife are like making these like clothes for them to wear every week. And he's like, and I can't remember the timeline, if it was 5 or 10 years. He's like, I'm going to do this every Sunday for this time period. And if I don't have the success that I want, or I haven't grown the way that I want, it will not be because I wasn't hardworking, or I was lazy. It just wasn't meant to be. And of course, his hard work and diligence, he's popped. He's all over the place now. Paris Fashion Week. He's hanging out, like, he's good friends with Pharrell
Go
now.
off, King.
Like, he's
Yeah.
he's acting in movies. He's a rapper. He acted in a movie. Like, and so the whole world is open up to him, and people know him. But it's like that. And so when I started this podcast, trying to adopt some of that mindset, I was like, you know what? Just grind at it and try to be excellent each week or each time you do something, and you will be rewarded accordingly. So it's like I think people think sometimes starting a new business, or I knew a lot of people in college are like, we're starting a new business. And like 6 months later, it's like, what happened to your business?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, no, like if you know you really want to do this, like you gotta be prepared for some of those lows, the occasional high, before you get to the point where it's a lot more highs than the occasional lows. So it's, you gotta have the right mindset for it.
For sure. Keep putting your art out there.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is. Creativity. It's just a flow. And you're putting your art out there by your podcast. I'm putting my art out there by what
People's
I do with
faces.
skin. People's faces. It's my art.
That is your canvas. People's faces.
Those are pretty faces. But yeah, it's about having the drive to do it.
Yeah. Okay. To wrap it up, where can the people find you?
My Instagram handle is Skin by Danielle Rose.
Okay.
On IG, skinbydaniellerose.com is my website.
Okay.
So find me there and let me know any questions you guys may have.
Okay.
I'll be here in Charlotte.
Dani, thank you so much for being on. This is a lot of fun.
Thank you, guys.
Hopefully I get a good review. Hopefully I get a review that this was not horrible. But seriously, guys, if you are looking for a place in Charlotte and want to start taking better care of your skin and would like to help with a professional, Dani is a great place to start. She will get your face looking great. Bree, her fiance, will tell you, she has told me personally that her skin got a lot better once.
Oh, yeah. It was bad when we first met.
Oh, gosh. I didn't say that, Bree.
Sorry,
I didn't say that.
Love you.
But seriously, if you're looking, feel your body with the right stuff, and if you need a professional's help, come check Dani out. We appreciate you being on the podcast, and that is all we have for you today. Queen City out. Thank you.